To order, if you could please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance. Thank you for all coming. This is the biggest crowd we've had all year. Oh, you just came for the air conditioning?
That would be a good reason.
We're first going to have a public hearing on 4 items. The first is the second reading of an ordinance to establish guidelines and permitting process for First Amendment assemblies in town parks and town-owned property. Solicitor, you go to summarize this.
I don't have anything to offer. I don't know if you're going to have any discussion or debate about it.
I can just say a brief thing.
Okay, can you,
Yes, I'll just speak briefly. This ordinance is about having a process and advance notice of any gatherings so that we can evaluate them and be prepared to provide any necessary level of support if there is any. The balance of the town basically has the right to be able to enjoy their properties, and having any activities with 50 or more people in our community on town property is something that we should pause and make sure that we're able to provide services. So essentially that will give us that opportunity by having permits be required.
thank you.
Okay?
Any comments from the town council?
No.
No.
Yeah, you do have to. 'Cause it's,
All right, at this moment, if the public has any comment or questions about this particular ordinance, you can ask them now. Please come up to the podium, state your name and your address.
Just a question, Teresa Orline, 12 William Avenue. Just a question, you said it will require a permit. Is there not already a fee charged when you rent?
when you rent our park, yes, so that's kind of separate, but it could be if it's at the park, they may have to do both, but this is for public gatherings of 50 or more, or less than 50. There's different fees for different things, just so that if it's a public assembly. We don't have anything. If somebody comes and says we want to have we want to gather because we're against blankety blank, we don't have anything that can handle that. So this is just in addition to if you rent the park for
Would there
just
be
like
a fee for a permit and then the fee to rent the park as well?
Correct. If they need the park, yes. If they're requesting the park, but we would also have an opportunity to say yes, that's going to fit into whatever we already have going on that day, or it can't interfere, or things like that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, just move on.
Yes.
We're going to have, the next item is the first reading.
That was the second reading.
Yeah, that was the second reading.
Okay.
So we got to vote.
And I need a motion to accept this ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we accept the ordinance establishing guidelines and permitting process for First Amendment assemblies in towns, parks, owned by the town.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So it passes 5-0. Thank you. The next item is the first reading of an ordinance amending and restating the Town of Ocean View annual operating budget for fiscal year ending April 30, 2025. Tonight's agenda is the first reading, discussion, consideration, and possible vote on ordinances to amend and restate the fiscal 25 annual operating budget. Per code, budget ordinances need only one reading. The purpose of the ordinance is to amend and restate, finalize the budgets adopted April 9, 2024 for the fiscal year ending April 30, 2025, to reflect the changes to the town's revenues, expenditures, and capital projects that occurred during the fiscal year. The first public hearing is the ordinance amending and restating the Town of Ocean View annual operating budget for fiscal year ending April 30, 2025. The statement of anticipated revenues is being amended to reflect actual budgeted revenues received during the fiscal year and revenues received from sources that are not budgeted, such as grants applied for and awarded to the police department, the ARPA, and the reimbursable expenses. The statement of anticipated expenditures is being amended to reflect actual expenditures that occurred throughout the fiscal year, including those non-budgeted, such as the expenses associated with any grants received under the operating and capital budgets and reimbursable expenses. The operating budget increased by $918,930, and the capital purchases funded by grants increased by $94,825. Do I have any comments or
No.
questions?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, so we don't need but one reading. So at this point, is there any comment or suggestions from the public? Hearing none, we need an ordinance to pass this. We need an amendment to pass this ordinance.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion, we accept the amending and restating the Town of Ocean View annual operating budget for fiscal year ending April 30, 2025.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So it passes 5-0. And we need to, are there any comments about this second ordinance, which is the first reading of the ordinance governing the disposition of, I'm sorry, this is different. All right, this is the first reading of the ordinance governing the disposition of seized, forfeited, and unclaimed property.
And I can take this, Mr. Mayor, though, and I apologize I didn't respond on the first one. We had already given an explanation in the prior reading, and I didn't know you were looking for an explanation. I apologize for not doing that. This particular ordinance is basically an ordinance that was requested by the Chief of Police. The Chief of Police office gets tons of property that they either pick up in the park or things get delivered to them that's for lost and found. And they were basically looking for a procedure to be able to dispose of property that comes into the possession of the state police, so that we have a procedure that people know how to do that.
It's very hard, I'm hearing impaired, if you all could use your microphones more, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. My apologies. So basically, this was an ordinance that was generated at the request of the Chief of Police. And essentially, it's designed that when property comes into the hands of the town, frequently that's the police office that's lost and found or otherwise, we have a procedure that we keep it. We notify people when we can, and when we can't, we have a procedure to dispose of it. Property that is seized typically in the criminal process or that property is governed by Delaware state law on seizures, so they dispose of that in accordance with Delaware law. But this is mostly property that comes into possession, lost and found, and we're establishing a procedure for that.
Is it better?
All right, any questions or comments? Thank you. We don't vote on this one. Okay, moving on to the next first reading of an ordinance amending chapter 213, Article 1, and repealing chapter 213, Articles 2 and 3 of the Town of Ocean View Code relating to the Town of Ocean View water system and associated fees and charges and private wells.
And Mr. Mayor, this is an ordinance that we generated as a consequence of the sale of the water system to Tidewater Utilities. We had an ordinance that basically established the payment terms and everything for billing for the water system. and this is just repealing those ordinances since they're no longer necessary as a consequence of the sale.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comment from the town council?
No.
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 Any questions or comment from the public? Okay, thank you. There'll be a second reading of the last two ordinances next month. Moving on, we need to have a motion to adopt the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda of July 8th, 2025.
Thank you. Are there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So passes 5-0. I now need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 10, 2025.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes, the regular minutes from June 10th, 2025.
Are there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So passes 5-0.
I'm sorry, could I ask a question? Are you gonna talk about private wells, or was that only, repealing?
Well, that particular ordinance allows for private wells still, if it's allowed by, state law. So whether or not you can have a private well now is pretty much gonna be, we're gonna say you can have it if it's allowed by state law.
Okay, and then the fees from Tidewater would be because they want to put a new well in?
No.
No, the fees that were in that prior ordinance are being repealed
Okay.
because those were fees that were related to the town's operation of the system. The town is no longer operating the system. All right, it's being operated by Tidewater Utilities, so you're getting billed by Tidewater, and those rates are determined by the Public Service Commission.
Because it was Ocean View, rural from William Avenue, and because of geothermal that we have there, we all were required, prior to a certain year of this, putting in the water system, we all had wells. They were actually closed off by the plumbing company and the, I guess the town's people. We no longer have the water that came from the wells in our homes. We were required, there was a demand to put city water or water into our homes. But we just wanted to make sure, the way it was broadcast on the news this morning, is that there were going to be fees imposed on us for having wells that even if they are operated or not operational, that there was maybe a problem or a concern that some of the wells are not being taken care of, but they're being used for agriculture on the outside of our home. And they looked like they were going to try and place, like Ocean View was going to place.
Hold on for a minute. Russ, are we capturing her speaking good enough? We really should have you come here.
Sorry.
But
You did,
this is first reading.
Okay.
So, Ocean View's not involved in it at all anymore.
Okay.
Okay? So I don't know what you heard. I don't know if it's accurate. So, we would have second reading, and I think it's important for us to find out what you heard and then get you, the proper information for it.
I appreciate
But, to our understanding from the sale process is that you would continue to be able to use it for the irrigation purposes, but not connected to your home. No water utility usually lets that occur.
Okay.
So, hence why that happened years ago.
No, I appreciate that.
So, if we could get a piece of paper and have everybody put maybe your name, phone number, address, whatever.
We
You
signed
did?
it,
Okay.
yeah, we all signed in.
And if all that's there, and make sure I can read it, okay? Sometimes that's a problem. Then we will get that information and we will give that to you prior to the next meeting, but of course you will always be welcome to come to the second reading,
Okay.
okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you for answering
So
that.
can you let us know what you
Yeah,
heard or where you heard it?
Yes, we're early risers, so the local news, I think MDT was the first one we had heard it on, and then there was made mention, but it said Ocean View. It didn't say Tidewater, which was a concern because we just all received bills for Tidewater.
Yeah.
And then we find out that Ocean View, and it showed a picture of our sign here and a picture of the sign over on Central, saying
I'm
that
glad
they
you
were
brought
going
it
to impose fees.
I'm glad you
That
brought it
Ocean
to our
They said,
attention.
come to this meeting.
That Ocean View is gonna,
Okay, so here's another
Ocean View
thing,
was gonna
since you're all
impose
here,
fees.
if I can share with you, because this is something that came to our attention today. The bills that you got, your first bill from Tidewater had a previous amount due on it. Do not pay it. We're working with them because that should not been on their bill, because we, of course, you know, there was a day where the line was drawn in the sand. So, so that's something we're dealing with them to rectify, because that was an error.
Okay.
I mean, that we just became aware of it today. So I'm glad I can tell this many people out of the 98 people or whatever it is. But yeah, please disregard that.
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
so much. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm Nancy Eklund from 9 William.
Thank you so much. We'll
Thank
be
you.
back in touch with all of you who signed in.
so Nancy, just to be clear, this particular ordinance that we're passing, it already had a section 213-1 regarding private wells. So when the town instituted its water system, it allowed people to retain their wells
Yes.
for irrigation. So we are not repealing that section. All right, now, if state law does not let you have a private well, we can't override state law, okay? So basically, we did not touch our existing ordinance. Our ordinance is staying the same, except for we're repealing only the portion related to charges of the water system. So I can't say or speak to whether or not the state will allow you to have a private well, but if the state allows you to do it, this ordinance still allows you to do it.
Thank you.
I can say one thing, that there was nothing in the state session that just ended at the end of June that had anything to do with ownership of private wells, that I'm aware of,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want to come up and to the podium, state your name and address, please.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Michael Verhanovitz. I live at 14 William Avenue. I'm part of a group here. Thank you. I'm sitting with one of my neighbors over here. So I downloaded the information. Thank you for having that available to download and read prior to the meeting. So it was unclear to me, and I think you've been kind of answering it. My home was built in 1990, and it has a private well. It was for irrigation only. There's a special faucet. It doesn't mingle with the public water system at all. And I was unclear, though, reading the material here, whether that was going to be impacted or not. But you'll have more information about that?
Yeah, I want to see what was said on the radio station so we can clarify anything.
Okay.
And if there's anything else that we need to clarify or to make it more crystal clear for you about continuing using
Okay.
your non-potable.
Fair enough. That's great.
You know, but there's nothing that we're aware of going through our whole process. And like Veronica said, we left that part in because with every intention that
Right.
we always wanted you to be able to use it for anything but, you know, in your household.
Okay.
I can tell you that there are a lot of municipalities that will not allow that. And the reason is because that when you take water from your wells, that also impacts the amount of water available for the well that's servicing the town. So for instance, in the town I live in, they won't let you have a private well.
Okay.
You have to irrigate on the, with, you know, the public water system. That is not our intention.
Okay. As one of the newest homeowners there, it was my understanding when they built that cul-de-sac, every home had a private well. I think it was a nod to the fact that it used to be the Ocean View Farm over there or something. So, but one thing I heard is something about a state ordinance or a state permission to have a well. If it's been there since 1990, that wasn't considered back in 1990? No one knows?
All I'm saying is that if there's a state, and can't speak today about whether or not the state has them. What we're saying is it's not prohibited by the town of Ocean View.
Okay.
Okay? If it's prohibited by the state, you know, I don't know that,
All right.
but we can't control that. The state law would supersede.
Yeah, okay. There's a pipe in my yard, and I think the others as well. There's a little tag on there with a number, and it looks pretty official. So
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
The concern is about drawdown of the aquifer, and
Yeah.
if we get into a serious drought and
Sure.
there's something going on, then the state sometimes gets involved and it's a temporary thing, but But we'll get you as much as we can.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay,
Thank you
but
for
nothing
that.
of course, council's not gonna vote on it until next meeting at the earliest, which actually we won't have in August unless you want to. Typically, we don't. It wouldn't be till September now. Okay, so it would be September, but you'll get something from me, however, you provided the information
Okay.
beforehand, and maybe you won't have to come back, but you're certainly welcome.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
One more quick thing. We appreciate your response so much. Would it help if we gave you one or two people that you could communicate with, and we'll disperse it to the rest of our
If you
students?
give me emails, you can all get the same info at the same time.
Okay, we'll do that. Thank you.
I don't know. No one called us to ask us, so sorry.
It only happened this morning, we didn't want to wake up.
We were awake.
So at 6:30, when they had the news on VOC or WMDT, we caught it, and then we caught it a second time, and it made it look like your parks and your water were gonna would have fees placed upon them by Ocean View. And that's, when you look at what was already written, it did not say that,
Yeah,
so.
Probably being replayed at 5 o'clock.
yeah, we'll try, yeah. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Moving on, we're going to go to reports, financial report, Don Parks.
Thank you. Before you have the monthly financial report as of June 30th, 2025. Of course, our real estate tax bills were processed and mailed by the first week of June. As of the end of June, we've had 507 citizens take advantage of the early payment discount for a little over $5,500. The water system, of course, as you know, we just discussed, we sold the water system, and the last billing for the town of Ocean View happened on April 3rd. As of the end of June, the town has a little over $15,000 still outstanding. It's 83 accounts, and we are working with those citizens to get those amounts paid. Moving on to our balances for the reserve and committed funds. Our emergency reserve trust has $1,189,648. The capital replacement trust fund has $1,318,129. Street repair and replacement has $1,125,592. Our American Rescue Plan, or ARPA, has $243,252, and that is all encumbered for the finishing of 8 Oakwood Avenue parking lot, a portion of the Burgeons Natural and Park area, and a storage building for DPW and the holiday decor. Our emergency services enhancement funding, we've had 11 new home construction permits of the 68 that were budgeted for this year, and we have a balance of $1,061,199. Our transfer taxes through May 31st are from 37.1% of new construction homes. We've not had any land sales as of the end of May, and we had 62.9% resales of existing homes. Our annual audit is scheduled for next week. We've started loading all our reports, and we're looking forward to the external auditors being on site on Monday. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions for Dawn?
It's like pulling the teeth without Novocaine.
No.
No.
We actually
No.
do, we don't mind when they come.
No, they always give good tips and lots of helpful hints for us anyway.
Okay, moving on to the public safety report. Chief
Yes,
Russell.
Mr. Mayor, you have a copy of the report in front of you. It's got our statistics for last month and year to date. I'll be happy to answer any questions the council may have about those. A couple things to point out. The volunteer unit logged a total of 84 hours of service in June. We had Special Olympics going on early in June. We had the law enforcement torch run and the Special Olympics Summer Games, both of which were Ocean View officers participated in and also helped coordinate. Staff participated in a picnic for the Area J1 visa students down in Bethany at St. Martha's Church. Under training, I want to point out that Captain Hall completed the FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Association 5-Star Chief Executive Institute. This is a brand new training institute for chief executives. Captain Hall was one of only 4 officers from the state of Delaware and one of only, I think it was 35 throughout the country that was selected to participate in that training, and he successfully graduated from that, so we're very pleased with that. As part of our ongoing, training initiatives, you guys hear a lot about what the officers are doing, not so much sometimes about the admin, but it was a great opportunity for Captain Hall. I'm glad he was able to complete that training. We received a letter of thank you from the Chamber of Commerce for helping out with the Ocean Bay Budget Corps. June 3rd through the 5th, we completed a statewide mandatory radio reprogramming. That was part of our migration to the new P25 800 megahertz radio system. If you were in the area during those days, we had departments from all over Sussex County coming to Ocean View PD to get that done. Kudos to Lieutenant Carter for assisting with that. OVPD took the lead and coordinated that on behalf of the Sussex County police agencies. Sadly, we participated in 2 funerals in June. One for former councilman and longtime police volunteer Bill Wickman, who was buried on June 6th, and the other one for former Ocean View Mayor Gordon Wood on June 13th. In both cases, the family was very happy for the support that was provided by the town and the police department. The police department secured funding in the amount of $4,497.16 from the Special Law Enforcement Assistance Fund to purchase 2 replacement patrol rifles. The police department coordinated 2 separate active shooter response training initiatives at Lord Baltimore Elementary School, June 23rd and 24th, and then again 25th and 26th. Something that we do annually, and we provide that training to officers from throughout the state of Delaware, actually, and all over Sussex County. I think the town manager would get into some of the Indian River School Board meeting that we attended. And then I represented the town at the retirement luncheon for Millville Fire Company EMT Wally Evans. Wally is one of the first EMTs to ever retire from the Millville Volunteer Fire Company. It was a very nice event, and I presented Wally with a proclamation from the mayor at that event. With that, I'll be happy to take any questions, Councilman.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions from the Chief?
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the Planning and Zoning and Development Report. Okay, Zemino.
All right. They all left, but anyhow, thank you, Mayor. Land use and development portion of this report pretty much unchanged from last month. Capital improvements. The last phase of Woodland Avenue sidewalk has been completed. This phase came in approximately $45,000 under budget for construction and construction management. We will be advertising the final phase this October with a planned start date sometime around November of next year. The Transportation Alternatives Project grant agreement for the Burson's Nature Trail project has been executed. It's attached for your review. That will bring $750,000 into the town's coffers. I received a proposal for environmental design to complete the final segment of our drainage projects in the cottages and Kelly Estates. The work was stopped last year due to a permitting issue with the Army Corps of Engineers. Our last project in the cottage had a budget surplus of a little over $50,000. I'll be asking you folks a little later in this meeting to approve that proposal. A little history about the drainage basin that gets drained through the cottages and into Kelly Estates through that little ditch. The drainage basin basically starts here at Central and Oakland. It carries all of Central Avenue over to Woodland Avenue, NSR 26, all runs down to Woodland Avenue, crosses over 26, crosses under Woodland, goes behind the commercial properties and the residential properties on Caroline Street, then meanders through the cottages to this end point. So it's important that we keep these drainage ways clear and able to be able to convey the water to the White Creek. Maintenance and operations, we've had a few pavement failures and voids pop up, one at 144 Willow Oak, one in front of 2 Larchmont, and there's one currently in Bear Trap Dunes at the corner of October Glory and Sycamore Street. Weather pushed us off from yesterday. They were calling for rain. I anticipate we should be in there by the end of the week or next Monday at the latest to cut that road open and find out what happened. Code enforcement, permits, COs, business and rental license. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions for Ken? Yep.
Mr. Mayor, yes, thank you. Ken, as you know, was out and about during the heavy rains, which seemed like the whole month. Serious situation happened on Elliott Avenue. That road was totally underwater down towards the end, right across from the marina, right up to and into the garage of a resident. I talked to you, traveled down there. How do we get that fixed? We're going to get erosion of road. It's going to cost us a lot more money in the future if we don't address it now. And on your phone, you showed me some pictures, and Mr. Mayor, it was awful. The flooding that occurred. And, how do we address that and how quickly? And
so last week I issued a task assignment to KCI to complete the survey needed. The area where the water is held has a significant lower elevation than what we need to get over to get it into the canal. So we'll get our survey work done. I met with our general contractor, Georgia Lynch. Their forces are coming out next week. We're going to do some exploration, excavation to try to find the existing manhole and the existing pipe that goes underneath the driveway and the property in front of Fort Elliott and comes out the other end and drains through the ditch. And my hope is that within six weeks, I'd like to have this finished. 2 new drainage inlets constructed, across road pipe across Elliott Avenue, and then a pipe run from the inlet underground across Fort Elliott, and then daylighting on the other side in the open ditch. So I'm hopeful that we can get that done by second week of August.
then there was another issue, not as dramatic as what you and I had looked at over on Holly Lane or Holly Run Road. And what's the update on that area being corrected?
Well, as stated in the last month's report, I took it off this month's report. That project is completely designed, it's approved, it's been through Sussex Conservation District approval. We're simply just awaiting for funding for construction.
And is that on high priority, low priority on the other list of drainages?
It's not, it's the next in line drainage project to be completed when funding is available.
Okay. When funding is available. And generally speaking, what is the cost of that project?
If my memory serves me right, I think it's around $435,000. And the challenge is that area of, what's the name of that community? Woodland Park.
Woodland Park.
Is very flat, so the design was really challenging, trying to get enough fall to be able to move the water from the back portions of the community, Maple Lane, Maple Way, to the front, where Holly Lane comes out to Central Avenue, crosses under Holly Lane, crosses under Central, and goes out the existing ditch.
So, as far as on the priority list of next to be done, it's not at the top, but it's close, am I correct?
I don't have any other drainage projects in front of it.
All right, so it's a matter of.
Other than this cottages project that we didn't get to finish.
Right. And what happened with Elliott Avenue is an emergency repair, we're just gonna go ahead and get that done.
That'll come out of our operating budget.
Out of our budget. Okay, thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Ken. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Moving on to the town manager's report. Cloud.
Yes, Mayor and Council, I think everybody on council knows that over the last months and actually years, we've been engaged with the Indian River School District in relationship to our school resource officer program. Funding has been challenging. I'm happy to say that the outcome last week was that the town SROs were funded, and we were brought up to the same level as the other towns for the first time in 3 years. So we're very happy with that outcome. We do know that this is going to likely be a continual challenge, but we're also early engaging with the district and engaging with the other towns and the board members so that we can try to push forward a more equitable way to approach funding the SRO so that they're all funded at similar levels, and possibly maybe try to get some additional state help just specific to this. So I'm happy about that. Unfortunately, one of our District 4 representatives for the school district did not vote in favor of that. So we're in communication and trying to educate and understand a vote such as that for our community and our local school. Hopefully we'll make some headway with that before this time next year. But council can be reassured that right now Ocean View is being treated like the other towns in regards to our full-time SRO at our local elementary school. We had to cancel some of our concerts, 2 of them. They've been rescheduled. The new dates are August 17th for Hot Sauce and Friday, August 29th for the Funsters. And that is actually Friday night of Labor Day weekend. So we're looking forward to some good crowds and hopefully better weather than we had. Mayor and Council, you're aware of open space that we attempted to purchase on June 23rd that unfortunately our offer was not accepted. Our offer was very strong. I think hard to say why they would have taken it because it was only $1,000 difference in price, and of course there were no transfer taxes with ours. So unfortunately, that was an opportunity at 150 Woodland for some beautification and open space that that we did not. But I appreciate, Mayor and Council, your support of that effort, and we'll keep our eyes open for other opportunities. Skip some of the little things. Outreach, Assawoman Trail, just want to mention it because I had a couple calls last week. We are engaging with DENREC in relationship to the next phase of the Assawoman Trail. It has synergy with our Burzins Nature Park project, so we're hopeful that that will be funded, but we're gonna have to step up our engagement in relationship to the interest of our community. Wanted to just kind of give a shout out. Chief has mentioned this in the past, but the book Advancing Proactive Policing Lessons from Ocean View, Delaware by John Shane has been published. We're in possession of 2 copies of the book recently, and be happy to share it with all of you if you want to read it. But this book was published, and I felt it was important for us to share it more prominently in my report, as well as share the acknowledgement of the author, John Shane, for the appreciation of Chief McLaughlin in completing the study, and quite frankly, the support provided by the town. It focuses on activity-based budgeting, and the inherent conflict of for public safety, for the cost of public safety, and of course the value of offering that service. So kudos to the chief for keeping with it and providing the view of how Ocean View approached its operations that helped formulate the book. Also wanted to congratulate Captain Heath Hall for his FBI LEDA Fire State Star Chief Executive Institute. We're happy to have been able to have the opportunity to send him and have him gain the knowledge from it. We also, if you haven't noticed, our Blue Star Memorial is now in its third or fourth year, and the plantings have really grown, and of course our partners, the Salt Air Gardeners, have done such a wonderful job. So it's really becoming a corner on our mile of Main of 26 that is becoming an attractive area for our community. So just a thank you for that. I also have information about outreach and engagement over the past month. I'd be happy to answer questions about anything in the report or otherwise.
Thank you. Any questions for the town manager?
No.
No.
Thank you. Moving on to the Public Works report. Matt Martin.
We've been going around watering, a lot of weeding with the weather and sunshine and all this rain we've been getting. A little extra fertilizer because all the rain's kind of washed away the nutrients. The Blue Star Memorial looks great, and Dave's been out there watering and paid a lot of attention to that. Picked up a lot of limbs and had to cut down some branches due to the rain and the heavy storms we've had. Of course, worked the Love Seed Mama Jump concert, which was a huge success. First time I've seen them there, so that was big. We put the handrail there next to the dice, so you guys enjoy that. Trying to find inside work while it's hot, because I know the guys have been working really hard out there. As said before, we were removing the mulch from the playground area. We finished up that job. We put up some barriers due to some flooding roads. You guys were talking about that earlier. We did get a lot of rain. I met with a couple fencing contractors to put a screen around the generator at 201, but I think we're gonna go a different route and plant some arborvitaes as a screen instead. Probably save some money in doing so. We have the old stake body truck that's been sitting there. Jacob's been getting that ready for auction. So, but yeah, that's about it. Mosquito spraying still going on. We haven't missed too many days just because it's early in the morning. The rain seems to be in the afternoon, so it's been good. If you have any questions, yes.
Thank you. Any questions for Matt?
No.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to the Millville Volunteer Fire Company report. They had 407 calls last month compared to 334 last year. 323 of those calls were EMS calls compared to 258 the year before. And 61 of those calls happened in the town of Ocean View, almost double from last year. Seemed to be a busy month for the fire department. Okay, moving on to citizens' privilege. At this time, the public has an opportunity to ask anything about the pre-published agenda for discussion and consideration. And if you choose to speak at the first one, you may not speak on the same topic at the second one. So either one of you three, have anything you want to ask? No? Okay, that's all right. Moving on to new business. The first item is discussion, consideration, and possible voting on to recommend approval of environmental design for ditch cleaning, cottages to Kelly Estates.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I mentioned before, this proposal is to properly study, evaluate, and implement a solution to excavate and clean the ditch that carries water to the White Creek from the cottages through Kelly Estates community. The drainage area includes State Route 26, Central Avenue, Woodland Avenue, Oakland Avenue, and Hudson Avenue. We received the proposal for environmental design to complete the final segment of our drainage projects in the cottages and Kelly Estates. As I mentioned, the work was not allowed in the prior project due to a permitting issue. The prior project, OVPC&D 2403 in the cottages, had a budget surplus exceeding $450,000. The consultant engineer's fee, this task is to complete design of regrading and clearing and grubbing of an existing ditch between Seabrook Road and Hudson Avenue. The task assignment will include survey and field data collection, preparation and submittal of consultation letters, wetland delineation and reporting, preliminary design, final design, plans, specifications, and construction estimate, project coordinating and permitting with Sussex Conservation District, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and DEMREC, advanced utility coordination, and project management and QA and QC. Funding for this design task is available in the capital budget under the line item contingency in the amount of $121,065. It is therefore recommended the Mayor and Council authorize the manager to approve the design task for McCormick Taylor for a dollar amount not to exceed $79,460.
Thank you. Any questions for Ken?
No.
If not, I need a motion to approve this.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the town manager to approve the design task for McCormick Taylor for a dollar amount not to exceed $79,460.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So passes 5-0. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next item is discussion, consideration, and possible voting on recommend approval of open-end general engineering services contract. Ken.
Our open-end general engineering services contracts will be expiring on July the 15th, and so a request for proposals was placed in local papers and on the town's website for professional open-end general engineering services. The work involves the furnishing of all labor, materials, supplies, and equipment necessary to provide comprehensive engineering services and project management on an as-needed basis. Sealed bids were due at 1 p.m. on June 25th, 2025. 6 bids were received and opened as follows: Century Engineering, McCormick Taylor, Wallace Montgomery, AECOM, and Davis, Bowen, and Friedel. McKim and Creed. Their bid was incomplete. Their submittal was incomplete and not accepted. Budget impact. These are open-end, as-needed basis, basically supported by the capital improvement program. Direct impact is anticipated for the operating budget and the line item for consulting services, P&Z, which is routine and budgeted annually. The proposals were read and rated by the Director of Planning and Development. The selection of the successful firms was based on the firm's experience, knowledge, skills, and abilities demonstrated in the technical review. It is recommended that the Mayor and Council enter into 5 5-year agreements for on-call general engineering services with Century Engineering, McCormick Taylor, Wallace Montgomery, AECOM, and Davis, Bowen, and Friedel Incorporated.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on this one for Ken? If not, then I need a motion to accept this.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to enter into a 5-year agreement for on-call general engineering services with Century Engineering, McCormick Taylor, Wallace Montgomery, AECOM, and Davis, Bowen, and Friedel Incorporated.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So passes 5-0. We now come to the second citizen's privilege. Any questions you would like to ask?
Quick question.
Yep.
I don't know if you can provide me.
Yeah, please.
Sure. Mark Eklund, I believe. When you go through this process, you just named a whole bunch of names that I've seen before. Is there a bid process that you're going through on this, and when did that happen, and what's your next step?
We go back to the memo.
Yeah.
We advertise, we solicit bids in 2 print publications, generally one down here and one upstate. It's also advertised on our website. We give a deadline for the request for proposals to be into us, and then I read them, rate them, and then make the selection of the firms.
So it's you as a sole person decide, not a committee?
No, we don't have, we have a very small staff.
Yeah.
There's only,
No.
we have,
It's unusual for submitted bids. They're sealed bids?
It's not that type of a bid. You're thinking of a sealed bid for a
Yeah, sorry, I
specific
deal
thing.
with DC a lot, so.
He
yeah.
said this is open-ended, so these are for a small town that doesn't have an engineering staff. The beauty of this is that when something comes up, we can select which firm is best suited, because some of them
So
are.
this is your buffet of lists that you can pick?
And
based on-
we have unit pricing
Okay.
is
okay.
what's in there, so it's, so it'll.
I'm not getting crazy
No,
with
I
it.
understand why your question, it's a very good question. We started doing this, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago, because other than that, you're going out each time.
No, I
And
understand the
we
time,
can't
money,
be as
cost, and all that's crazy.
proactive,
yeah.
but it's based on unit prices that they submit it, and some are better at other things, and we've had some of them working for us for some time, so we know who, and sometimes it's also a matter of who has people to put on it right away, if that answers.
and as far as a committee, it's not like it was when I was at the Maryland Department of Transportation or the Delaware Department of Transportation, where we had engineers and cubicles falling all over each other,
Right.
and you could pick 5 and say, let's write these proposals. We have 5 people in my group, 1 engineering professional, 1 planner, 1 code enforcement, 1 licensing agent, and 1 administrative assistant.
But if we do an RFP, we do have multiple people, and I'm typically on every RFP as well, so when it's a sealed bid for a certain thing, and there's.
Yeah, I was just wondering if maybe you use a third party to do it, just so you're completely,
The town
independent.
engineer participates. We do have,
Of course.
have 1 town engineer that is it KCI now? Who's Jim with now?
Jim's with KCI, but the point for this advertisement is probably moot because we had 6 vendors. 1 left the whole section of their RFP out of the submitted, and the other 5 were accepted.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Does that answer your question?
it's just an FYI.
Yeah.
It's not a conviction. You guys are doing an
Right.
awesome job, you are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? So passed 5-0. Thank you all very much.